is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tattoo Talk with Bryan Briggs. I'm your host, Bryan Briggs, and today is 2 days before Christmas, the day before Christmas Eve, and I'm sure everybody is really excited for this time with their family and everything. I know I am. I know there's like a lot of people probably too that are probably like excited just to like get this season over with, because there's, it's like notoriously like a slow season for a lot of up and comer tattoo artists and people that aren't like super established yet or whatever. It's also like a big season for people cancellations are big. I got lucky this month and only had like, I think, one or two cancellations. And it hasn't always been like that for me though, so I've totally been there. And I know that a lot of people are probably there right now and looking forward to just getting this kind of like time over with. But getting into that tax season money, the notorious time of the year for tattoo artists. It's like the best time of the year for every tattoo artist, established or not, young or old. It's a good time of the year for like the best ideas, the best clients. Sometimes not the best clients too, everybody seems to have money that time of year, so you're gonna get all kinds of different people. But yeah, either way, happy holidays no matter what you celebrate, I hope you made it successfully at least through the holiday. And if it's been rough for you, I hope you do find comfort in that like coming tax season. For me, 2 years ago, I was running a lot of deals during this time of year and pushing like discounted gift cards just to make ends meet. And we've all kind of been there, so a lot of people experience a lot of cancellations this time of year. So all types of different reasons, like my car broke down, I have to get a surgery, whatever. Sometimes it's real shit, sometimes it's just bullshit because they didn't prepare properly, and that sucks, it could be a really hard month. So I just think like it's always a good time of the year too, just if you did make it and everything was fine, or like if better, like you made it like, and you haven't had to worry about a thing, like you should really take this time to like feel some gratitude and like thank the universe, a little bit, just stop and appreciate it at least, smell the roses, like, yeah, I just think like a lot of times we get caught up in the moment, or caught up in all the like fast-paced life or whatever you're doing, like just being a parent, being a business owner, and you don't take time to just appreciate how far you've come, so for those less fortunate too, it's like really a good time to get started right now on next year, because you can't be waiting for these people to come to you anymore, so I don't know, like if you're listening to me, then like I'm working on this always, so let's work on this together, let's get motivated and get the ball rolling so that our momentum keeps us comfortable year round. And that's always kind of been my goal. It's like as long as you can get that snowball effect going and you have enough interest going all the time, then you're gonna be fine. But there's a lot of different things you can do to build that interest. So that's kind of like what we've all been talking about throughout this whole time through the podcast. This is the 25th episode. This is only the second episode I've recorded on video like this. So I got some mics coming in the mail and stuff too, so that I could get a little better quality for that video stuff. But if you want a little better audio, then usually, like the podcast is a better bet, because I'm recording the audio like on a mic right here. But then you don't get to see my face, but that's okay, because honestly it's like, I think maybe made a little better for audio format for now. But in the future, who knows what's going to happen, maybe I'll get somebody else that's interested in getting involved, like a producer of some kind that can, like do more of the video stuff and add pictures and all that fun stuff and get like more of a set going and stuff like that behind us. But for right now, it's just like really straightforward and more like informal and stuff, but I do have some ideas on how I want to change it up a little bit in the coming year, and so that the podcast format could be a little bit better. But before I get to that, uh, I just want to like state, like it. It's always good to like. I just want to restate, I guess, that it's always good to just humble yourself by remembering where you came from, stopping to smell the roses, like I was saying. But also, don't limit yourself. You have more potential than you can imagine, and you're just as capable as all those people that you idolize. Is when you meet those people in person, you're gonna realize like, oh, it's just a regular person that's just been doing this like a whole lot longer than me, and involved themselves with the right people, right place, right time, and that's a lot about any business or any entertainment thing or any like art form. Like it's a lot about all of that, I guess, more than anything too. So you can't be too hard on yourself and think that like just because where you came from that it's not possible for you to reach the kind of status that you idolize, like these people that are like the best of the best in your eyes. So it's just a matter of hard work, and patience is a big thing that a lot of people really lack, that I lack a lot of, especially too. So you just gotta like have that patience to see the opportunity and then put yourself in the way of it. Um, so yeah, like I was saying though, today it's gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna do the episode in like a few different segments so that I could stay on topic a little bit better and hopefully be more useful to my colleagues who are listening, or whoever's listening. Uh, the first segment in this one, it's gonna be called Inside the Ink. So I'm gonna be looking at a tattoo I did during the week or just maybe even in the past, and talking about kind of the story behind it, my theory and my process behind putting it together, like the art part of it and the idea, as well as like actually applying the tattoo and maybe some of the factors that apply to the scenario specifically, like the exact tattoo. So today I'm going to go back into my Instagram real quick to look at the picture in question here. And this is my post from 3 days ago. So it starts out with a huge scar that she drove from like an hour and a half away. And let me see if you could see it on here. If not, you could check out my Instagram, Ponyboy Tattoos. There it goes. And you could see here that there's some pretty major scars on the spine there. And, she went through like 5 different surgeries. And in the end, she was left with like a big zipper up her back, basically. And, it's really traumatic for a person to live with a scar like this. So, she had several different ideas that we went over, and, I do a lot of cover-ups. I work with a lot of scars, but this is definitely the worst one that I've ever worked with, or at least the biggest and, like deepest scar, I guess you could say. She was in, like, a major car accident. A fire engine hit her from behind and actually, like, hit her, and then the car moved and it hit her again, and then it moved and then it hit her again. So her spine was pretty fucked up after that. And from then on, like, she had like a multiple amount of like surgeries and stuff like that. So she was really lucky just to even be alive, So in this kind of case, it's really more of like, I kind of approach it a little differently. Like, just, it's a person that isn't just seeking a tattoo. They're trying to like restore a part of their body that they've lost, kind of due to the scar, like, because they don't want to show that part of their body to anybody. They specifically buy clothes that will hide parts of their body like that. Even just to look at it in the mirror by themselves is hard, so it's not even about showing it off or being able to show it off. It's just being able to look at it by themselves, being able to live with that without being constantly reminded of some painful memory or whatever, So you have to be aware of like those kind of like other things like that, those other factors that are deeper and more emotional, like so with this lady, we actually scheduled the appointment, and then it was in like we weren't able to actually do it right away because she ended up having to have like 2 or 3 more back surgeries, unfortunately. So um, it's pretty sad scenario, at the time. So to be able to take some kind of something that caused a lot of trauma in her life like that, and turn it into something else was a task. So on the Instagram, I have like a video. You can see it here of what we came up with, and I think we accomplished a pretty good. If you're just listening to this on audio, you're not able to see the video, but you can go to my Instagram at Ponyboy Tattoos, and you could check out this scar that I'm talking about. It's pretty gnarly, and you could check out, because you have it on audio, you should be able to just go, and check out this other images and stuff, at least while you're doing the podcast. But man, we came up with this whole like cherry blossom, like watercolor tattoo, and there was a lot of different options that we went over, different ideas that she had. I always come up with a picture like this too afterwards. If you're just listening, it's like a picture that I made where it's I freehanded this tattoo, so it's like a picture of the Sharpie part beforehand, and then like the tattoo, and then like a close up. Sometimes I'll do like the before part in the picture. These kinds of things are like really important to just like capture the people's attention or whatever. So this one got like a pretty good amount of attention organically, so I decided to put some money into boosting it too. And that's kind of how I pick and choose like the ones that I'm gonna boost, is like based on if they're already kind of doing organically well. Like if they're already getting like a few hundred likes or something, like that's pretty good. So you could boost that and you could turn it into like 1,000, or something crazy. So then it's worth it. It's just about picking the right demographic and all that as well. So that you kind of have to play with. I've talked about that in some other episodes, but I just really base it off of like location and age more than anything. I'm not really like putting like a lot of different like interests or whatever or tags or whatever into that. I'm just more like focused on location and age, and then it kind of sorts itself out. You want like as many people as possible, so I'm able to do like almost 800,000 to 1 million in a 50-mile radius in this area. So if you're in a big city, you should be able to reach a few million easily, if you're choosing the right demographics and stuff. So I know that when I was in New York City, in 1 block radius, you could reach like 3 million people. So it really depends on where you're at, as how many people you're gonna reach. And like if you're not using that as a strategy to find new clients, then you're gonna lose out on you're gonna lose out on a lot of like potential clients that way. So not only that, like the picture obviously is kind of like an attraction or whatever to bring people in initially, but you could see here I have like a long story written as well. It's like like it's not just like leaving the interpretation up to them. Like I'm telling them like all about this lady, her story, and it's gonna speak to a lot of people that have similar stories and scenarios too. That's actually how she ended up finding me. Was first somebody told her that like, oh, I've heard it, or I've seen this guy that I've gotten tattooed by him even, and he does a lot of scar cover-ups. But I've seen a lot of videos of the scars that he's covered up and stuff. Check this guy out, and then it goes from there, but she's one of the people that saw one of these similar posts, is what I'm saying, I guess, and then it kind of like led her into the same path as those people. So she's that person now, and her post is going to attract other people like that. So it's kind of like you just have to keep doing that, basically, like keep that snowball rolling, like keep building it up, keep that momentum rolling, and you're always posting these things, and you could even repost these stories. You don't have to like just post this shit one time and drop it and that's it, you know, like most of the people you think saw it probably didn't even see it anyways. And like I said, you know, like uh, you can reach like a 50-mile radius or more, and people are going to see it from further away and travel to see you, rather than just depending on local competition or whatever, you know, like because people are going to find you for other reasons though. You can't just put your work and boost it out there and expect people from 50-mile radius to like come and find you that way just based on like a cool picture. Some people will, a very small percentage. But if you're adding in this you know, like these stories to it, you know, connecting. If you go to my Instagram and you read the story to this one, this is a really good one, and it was really captivating to people. Like, I'm not able to say whether it is or not until it is or it's not. And this one was, you know, this one got quite a bit of local attention, which is all I really focused on. I'm not really focused on like national or global attention. I'm not trying to get noticed by people in China or wherever else, you know, like I'm just trying to get noticed by people in my local area that are trying to spend money on tattoos or within a drivable distance, you know what I mean? So that's how you can do that. When one other way though is, you know, it just reminded me of that, I guess, you know. So she was really happy, needless to say, you know, to get this scar covered up. It was really difficult to work with. If you check out this video, you can see there's a lot of crazy like scarring, and it's really raised right now too, and it's probably going to be, it's always is going to be a scar there no matter what. You can't get rid of the scar, but I think we've camouflaged it with the direction of everything, and like where we placed background or black or blue is like in the right spots, kind of, you know. So the lower portion of the tattoo was the most scarred, and it was like at some points it was like almost tattooing on leather or something like that, you know. So but luckily there's like two ways that could go, and luckily for her it went the good way, because it could have been either extremely painful or not painful at all. For her, she didn't really even feel, I don't think, most of the stuff that was scarred. It was just the areas that were untouched and unscarred at all that hurt the most, I think. So sometimes people focus too much on covering the scar, where all they do is put something right over it that you can see right through it. I think the idea is to take like that whole portion of that body and make the new tattoo flow over it in a way that distracts from old scarring. Some stuff, you know, like you're just putting a tattoo over the top of it, and you're not like taking into account the shape or flow of the old scar too, and that makes the scar more noticeable, in my opinion. So you really have to choose things. Like you can see where I put the branch of one of these cherry blossom branches. It's like right on, you know, one of the biggest, craziest scar areas, and like yeah. So basically placement is huge, you know, and there's only one way to do that on this tattoo, and that was to freehand it. I had a digital design ready that I already like drew all of this already like once on my iPad, and I had it all prepared where I could have probably printed it, but it just wouldn't have been the same, you know, and I would have printed in like all these different like sections and stuff, and it's just not gonna flow in the back the same though, you know, and it's just not gonna look the same. So I drew it once, I could draw it again, you know. It only took me like 30-45 minutes, maybe, something like that, to get the Sharpie design on there. Just like a rough blueprint, kind of, nothing too crazy. And then, you know, because I know what I'm going to do when I get into the tattoos, so I just need like a basic blueprint of the outline of it, kind of. So placed everything perfectly, and it's way easier to just draw it right over the thing that you're covering, whether it be a sometimes tattoos could be that way too, but I like to do, when you're covering a tattoo, it's a little bit different, so that's just a different subject altogether. But with a scar like this, you know, I really like to use the Sharpie when I can, in when I get like a piece like this where it's more abstract or more like something that you can draw on there. You know, you can't always like just Sharpie on something that's crazy realistic or something either. So I mean, some people can. I mean, I'm just saying what I can do. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna like Sharpie a portrait or something onto someone. So But something like this, I knew it was possible. I knew I'd drawn it, so I was comfortable with it, and I knew it was gonna work out better if I just Sharpied it on rather than tried to make the perfect print. You know, like man, that could be really frustrating too. And then you use all these supplies and materials and end up just sharpening it on anyways. So I've been there, done that. But yeah, so she was really trusting with the whole thing. You know, like she had a couple ideas we went through, and in the end, she ended up going back to like the first idea. If you've been tattooing for a long time, you know that happens a lot. So it wasn't like that crazy or whatever to go back to. You know, like I'm used to a lot of that kind of stuff, so I'm pretty easygoing nowadays. You know, like I'm pretty zen, I guess. So so I kind of just go with the flow, and I don't even design stuff until the night before the tattoo now, mainly because of that kind of a thing. A lot of people will change their ideas and stuff like that, so or they'll just take your drawing if you show your drawing and stuff a lot over a line. Like they might take that to somebody that's just gonna get it done, do it cheaper, and they're gonna fuck your design up and stuff. So I don't send designs to people either. You know, makes some people uncomfortable to work that way because it's kind of like it all comes together in that day. But that's just how it goes. That's how I flow the best. I prepare a lot the night before, and it's not like I'm unprepared on the day of the tattoo, and that's what matters. So when I show up, I have the design, and sometimes people don't like exactly what I have designed. They want some changes done, or they want the whole thing completely like altered, and I'm able to do that too. You know, it never really takes me more than like an hour or so to like get something else together if that's the case. You know, or make some changes. I very rarely have had to like actually like reschedule anything. So usually if people have like something they want changed, it's like they want it way simpler than what I had made, so it's like way easier to come up with in the moment anyways. So yeah, I've just gotten to that point now where I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to design anything till the night before. I'm a night owl, so I kind of stay up late just making the design, and then when I get in there, they check it out and make some changes maybe, but usually not. And we just put it on and we go. You know, I'm tattooing usually within like 20 minutes of the person walking in. I try not to make them wait. You know, I quit smoking cigarettes a long time ago too. That's something I suggest to a lot of tattoo artists because it saves you so much time and money, and you're wasting a lot of money on that, especially if you're smoking like a pack a day or something like that, like I was. It's a lot of money to spend on something that's just killing you slowly for no reason. You can find other ways to relax and other ways to like calm down or whatever, you know. So I think that's one of the best things you could do. If you could like tell yourself this year you're going to do something for yourself, I would say quit smoking. You're also going to save yourself a lot of time. Your people that you tattoo are going to like you a lot more because you're not going to stink like cigarettes all the time, and you're not going to be like taking a break every hour or whatever to take a smoke break or whatever, you know. Like I'll tattoo people for 5-6 hours straight a lot of times and not take any breaks, you know. The shop never smells funky. Like that's like a gross part of smoking is like when you smoke you can't even smell anything, so you don't even know that you stink, but you do. And you know, anyways, that's like a whole other thing. That's like a whole fucking 10 years of my life. So I'm just more judgmental against my past self than I am against like anyone else that smokes. I don't care if anyone else does. My clients do a lot, so I work with that. But in the end, like, you know, like we don't have like a lot of time on this earth, so we should try to like appreciate it more and cherish this time by like not just like feeding hella sugar to ourselves and smoking, you know. So that's what my focus is this year, for myself at least, is to kind of like get more healthy and have like a better mindset like that. Like I really want to do, like my lady has been doing yoga for like 140 days or something or more, like you know, straight, like every day. So I could see a big difference in her health and everything, and like her happiness even, you know. So I want to try that out too, and I feel like it would help my back and stuff. I've been having some really bad back pain over the last couple of years, and yeah, I think that would be something that like I've done it a little bit here and there, and it's helped me gradually. And I'm doing a lot of different things like that, you know, therapeutic wise, like physical therapy type of stuff. So it makes sense. I mean, I just want to do that, and like invest in my health this year, and I, kind of maybe I'll challenge you to do the same. So if you're kind of like one of those people that have been tattooing a while too, like me, and you're getting a lot of back pain, it's time to like, not just let it keep going downhill until you're just like on pain medications or something like that. Like nobody wants to be at that point where you're like you can't even tattoo anymore, and then what are you gonna do? This is all you've done for a decade or more. So it's time to start investing in our health as like a tattoo community, I think, and everybody start like worrying about like their spine more. Like this lady made me think about it a lot because of all the stuff she's been through with her spine, and yeah, like you just don't want to have issues with your back. So you spend all day hunched over like this, so it's good to do some things that are gonna kind of like articulate your spine and stretch you back the other way. So yeah, something to consider if you haven't really thought about it. But all right, well, that's that segment for today. Inside the ink, that's gonna be something I do every week now, kind of just talk about like a different tattoo I did, or that hopefully like within the week, so I can kind of keep it current. But let's move on to the next segment since we have some time. This one is more like stuff that I'm really able to like to talk about, I guess, more is like the business side. So it's like we're talking more about like marketing, advertising, branding yourself, stuff like that. I really feel like that's like been the thing that has helped me like move out here into kind of the middle of nowhere and be able to survive. I think that let me just find my notes on this. Yeah, so this is the one thing I wanted to kind of like get everyone on board with that is listening, that is maybe like on, like I said in the beginning, like on that side of things where things are not like doing as great as you'd like them to do this time of year. So I'd like to challenge you with creating one solid year of content, because I guarantee you this 1 year of solid content over the next 12 months is going to change your life. If you're creating stuff on a daily to every other day basis, you're putting stuff up. You don't have to put stuff up every day, if you can. If you only have time and you're not like getting a lot of people in, you're gonna have to create more and more content, but the less time you'll have, the less time you'll have to do these things. So you'll have to like eventually like be hiring other people to do this kind of stuff. But right now, if you're the kind of person that has these slow seasons, then you obviously have some time during your day. We all make excuses, but you have time. You can wake up an hour earlier or stay up an hour later, and you can create some content, something for people to look at, whether it's just the tattoo you're working on the day, whether it's the walk you went on in the morning, like something. Like let these people in your life a little bit, but create like content that people want to keep seeing from you, document your process is the biggest part of it. You're not really like creating something for other people to even absorb. Like all I do is just kind of like narrate my life kind of in a way and captivate the pictures and the videos, and like even I'm not the best at it sometimes, but it's just the attempt that matters, and like now I think I have kind of like leaned back off of it a little bit. I don't use social media as much as an anchor as I used to, and the reason I've been able to get to that point now is because I went through at least 2 solid years of just pumping out as much as I could, like hour-long videos or whatever on YouTube, or just answering questions, or like reaching out to people, like doing social like gathering work, anyways, if you could just do this 1 year of doing all this stuff that we've been talking about for 25 episodes, if you can keep your content going, if you can fucking create like good shit that people want to see and want to hear from you, and the art's good, the philosophy behind it is good, and the experience that people are getting when they go in there is good, they're leaving you good reviews, all of that stuff, then you're just gonna have a solid year of really good shit that happened, right? So then next year, it's gonna keep going. It's gonna snowball even more because you're gonna have all these cool like Facebook memories to repost again, and that's gonna happen all the time while you're still posting new stuff. You're creating more content. So then you've effectively like doubled your output by reposting stuff that all these new people that add you all the time haven't even seen because it was over a year ago when you posted it. So you're able to repost this stuff now, doubling your content, and then you're getting even more people. So once you get that ball rolling, like people always like see how far someone else has gotten, and you don't realize like these guys that have these huge social medias a lot of times, they didn't just like pop up out of nowhere. They've been on like since like MySpace and shit. They've had like popular tattoo pages and stuff, you know. So you have to realize that, and you have to stop like putting yourself down for like and like not starting because you're too scared that you won't compare to other people. I've heard a lot of young artists say some stuff like that a lot of times too, like that they're just afraid to even like apprentices that haven't even tattooed and stuff are like afraid to even get into the tattoo side yet because they just like see a lot of other people and they see this huge pool of talent and like how are they gonna match up to that and get people to want tattoos from them whenever they could go to somebody that's already really good or whatever for a similar price. And that's like fair to ask, but at the same time like a lot of people aren't just looking for a tattoo, you know, they're looking for like the right artist to put it on them too. And you could be that person basically is what I'm saying. You know, and the way they're gonna find you is by creating that content, you know, and sharing that side of you, like what you really believe in tattoo, like how you believe in, like when I say philosophy, I mean like you stand behind something, kind of, you know, you have to stand behind something, like you have to say like this is what I do, this is what I believe in, this is the kind of art I do, this is like the stories that I like to take part in, and you know, like talk about it. Just talk about what you like the most a lot. Even if it's just a video of you talking, literally. That's one way you can do it, you know? If you're gonna take pictures, like, don't just post like like, don't take bad pictures, you know? Like, do what it takes, invest in some lighting and some equipment, you know, take a class on photography or something if you really need to, you know? Look up on YouTube a lot of stuff about taking pictures and stuff, because that's a big thing too, you know, because like the product you're presenting to people is huge, what they're seeing, you know, so you get it to look as much like it does in real life as possible, and don't go over that. That's one thing, people over edit their photos afterwards, and you shouldn't be post editing so much to where it doesn't even look like it does in real life anymore. If you're gonna do any editing afterwards, it should just be to make it look like it does actually in real life, you know. But even then, there's things you could do beforehand to get it that way. Like you can buy some of these lights, you know, like you could buy some of these fancy fucking hooded lights or whatever. You can buy lenses for your camera. You can buy a better camera, you know. That's the biggest thing. If you're just taking phone pictures, make sure it's a really good model of a phone or something, you know. Get a Pixel, get something nice, like invest. And that's going to help a lot too, as part of your solid content like strategy, you know, is creating stuff that looks really nice to the eye, you know. And then if you have to like collage it with several other pictures, or a lot of people are doing this now, what I do too is like take a picture where like in the middle of the image is the picture of the tattoo, and then on the sides it's like still the picture of the tattoo, if that makes sense. And it's like it fills up the whole square in a way to where it's just more pleasant to the eye. If you check out my Instagram to see what I'm talking about, not as much recent because I don't like to blend in a lot too. Sometimes, you know, you do stuff like that and everybody's doing it all of a sudden, like the soap wipes and stuff like that, you know, like we've all done it, but like at a certain, you know, I don't know, like it just all starts to look the same once we're all doing the same shit. So I'm just like, fuck it, I'll just keep it simple. And sometimes I don't do that now. So I'm just trying to take like nice pictures where you could see like the whole limb and stuff, and not edit so much like around it or whatever. Just put the picture up, you know. But like most of the editing can be done like before the picture's even taken by like creating the right lighting and having the right power camera and all that kind of stuff, I guess. um, yeah, if you if you're only posting your work once too, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're wasting that post because you could be reposting that a couple times a year. I know people that work a strategy where they only really repost like the same 5 tattoos like every year, all year. Maybe they'll add one and take one away, but it's only really ever the like 5 or 7 best tattoos, and they're just reposting those all year, with like a really tight caption that fucking gets people interested and directs them and funnels them into like a sales funnel basically. So that goes to their website, they click on like fill out a form, and then they fill out that form and their interest and stuff. If it's the kind of tattoo that artist wants to do, they get back to them, and then like they go from there, set up a consultation and all that stuff. uh, so that's like kind of the way the whole industry's going. And I think more and more too, like you don't even need a shop to work at to do that. Like people are just going to be opening small private studios everywhere, especially big cities. They seem to be really okay with that. So there's like hundreds of shops in every big city, in America. So the thing is, a lot of them aren't really shops. They're just social media gurus. They're people that know what they're doing. They're like millennials. They know how to like put their work out there and tell their story, and not be like scared what people think. And people are more drawn to them, and they're able to just open their own little studios wherever. I got one in the middle of nowhere. I know people that got them in the middle of huge cities. Everywhere around the country. So this is kind of the way it's moving. People are moving away from doing these like big shops that are owned by people that don't even do tattoos, and more towards I think the new school is like gonna be just like by artists for artists. That's what the shop is, and that's a lot different. So anyway, it's a little bit different than what I started out talking about, but yeah, that I think that's some good tips for your content. Definitely build that momentum up this year, and don't take like weeks or months in between posting. Like people do that. I wouldn't take like more than 4 or 5 days in between a post, and make sure it's always like quality though. And like in your post part. So like a big thing, like a tip that a friend of mine gave me is something called hook story offer. So you start out with like something really captivating in the caption, like something that's gonna draw these people. So if it's a scar tattoo like that, then it's something maybe that would attract their attention. I didn't necessarily do it in my post, but I started off the story just like, well, let me go to it real quick, and then I could see kind of exactly what I posted. So I said, when I met Charlene, she came into the shop and showed me one of the biggest scars I've ever been tasked with restoring. So, see, right there is a good hook, It's like, it captures the people that are going to have, like, a similar problem, a similar story, and it kind of, like, leads them into the rest of it, which is, like, the second part, Like I said, hook, story, offer, right? So the second part is the story, the long story about like everything she's been through, the story of the tattoo, how it's gonna help her, and how it's gonna change her life and everything, right? And then in the end, you're serving up like an offer, which is like a free consultation with me. If you'd like to get a scar covered up as well, contact me at this number, Or if you're gonna do a special offer, maybe it's like so and so off, like $100 off an all-day session or something like that, then you do that. If you're gonna do something like that though, a promotional offer, and you're gonna put like a certain amount off of something, then always limit that like to like as little people as you can, basically, because like the more like limited it seems, the quicker people will jump on things. You don't want a deal that goes on all year to an unlimited amount of people. That's gonna not be as big of a hit as a deal that you're giving away to just 10 people, the next 10 people, So that's just another good tip. Something I kind of talked about earlier that applies to this too, I think would be like the spotlight effect. Like I said, you got to repost some of your stuff sometimes. Like, don't be ashamed to go back and find like your best stuff, repost it, and you don't always have to be the busiest person in the world with, you know what I mean? Like, you don't always have to have finished work. A lot of people are working on projects a lot of times, so if you're doing a bunch of sleeves, you're not always able to post finished works. It's okay to go back. You know, it's called the spotlight effect. There's something that happens to a lot of us where we just feel like the spotlight is on us and that everybody has heard of us in our area and that there's no way that we could get our name out to more people. But it's untrue. And like I said, you'd be surprised like how many people are in a 50-mile radius of you probably, and how many people you aren't reaching. So don't get caught in the spotlight thinking that everybody is looking at you already when you're not even aware like how big the audience could really be. So yeah, let me see here. I got a little bit of time left still, so I could find like another. I got a couple of these segment ideas I'm gonna be doing. I think I like the way this is working out, so I'm just gonna be doing like different segments every week like this. So this one is called Geeking Out, and it's all about technology and the newest innovations in the quickly evolving tattoo industry. And I'll be discussing gadgets, inventions, fun stuff like that. So today I wanted to talk about wireless tattooing. So I think it's like an interesting thing that is kind of like new in the tattoo industry. Something that a lot of companies are getting into. And it's interesting because right now they have like maybe like two styles kind of battery packs that I've seen. I'm gonna look them up and see if I could find them. And the one I got, I have one in the other room. Let me see. The one I got is kind of like this one right here. It's more of like a little square. And then everybody's been kind of talking about these ones here too. And these are like a little bit longer. And I think that like the one I have, it kind of does like hang off the end of the pen like a hammer almost. And it kind of throws the weight a little bit off. I feel like I would probably like eventually get used to it. But these ones like right along the side of the pen a little bit better, it looks like. But I haven't seen those in person, so I can't say exactly. But they are like similar price. They sell them on like basically every site now. They work really good though for these pins. You can see like how like on this one, you know how it hangs off. Like mine doesn't hang off like that, but there's some that are ridiculous like that. I don't think that those ones are probably gonna be, that's like a so long, that's one of those Chinese brands and stuff. So they're just like making it as cheap as possible. I mean, it could work good, like who knows? But I think that the ergonomics of it is important, like how it's held in your hand, like how it feels. So the one I have is decent and it's gonna work good. It kind of is like that when it's on a pen, like this one right here. So if you guys are just listening, it's the more boxy one. I guess it's kind of hard to explain. If you watch the video on YouTube, you could see like the pictures I'm looking at here of these battery packs. But also, I heard that like FK Irons is coming out with the new one too. I think it's interesting because I thought it was gonna be like totally different, but it really just looks like these the Hawk like mini, like Hawk Ink or whatever, those same ones, the little long ones. It basically looks the same. It doesn't even have a digital display, so it actually is like looks maybe a little bit like, I don't know. I don't want to hate, you know what I mean? But it just maybe it doesn't look even as good as the ones that are already out or whatever. That you could get two for $100, and they're trying to sell theirs for like, from what I heard, they were gonna be like $4.99 each or something. I don't know if I'm ready to pay $500 for the battery pack because I don't really mind using a wire. It's not that big of a deal, but I could see like going to conventions. It's gonna be a lot easier to just use a couple battery packs and not have to set up all that power supply stuff and worry about like I've had my power supplies like fall off of the table and stuff like that at conventions, so Um, yeah, that would be pretty cool. So I think for traveling, that's gonna be really good. But it seems like everybody's kind of moving over to it, and I think like as time goes on, like they're only gonna create better and better things like this. Battery packs are gonna probably get even smaller, lighter, more ergodynamic, where like it doesn't feel like you're holding an off-weighted machine anymore. But at the same time, if you're used to using a old school machine, it kind of has that weight to it too, like that off hammer weight. Now that I think about it, like because you have that heavy machine kind of like balance right here too. So uh, very similar, I guess, but it's still a lot lighter, and it's been really nice, like the changeover onto my wrist, like using the rotary pen style machine. So if you're still like thinking about maybe doing that, you should probably try it. And I know it's hard to like invest like $600-700 into a machine or whatever, but like you got to get the Cheyenne or the FK Iron, because I mean I heard there's like, what is it, the Valhalla or something. There's a couple of them that guys are talking about now too, but as far as like those pen style machines, I think that those two brands are far superior, at least, than any like of those Chinese like knockoffs. Like it's just not the same. Like if you really buy two of them and look, I should do that. I have two of them. I have a Chinese one that you can't open or anything, but it's like a. But maybe I should just do that anyways. Just invest into buying some cheap machines so we can really look at the difference. Because I see a lot of videos of people breaking down the cheap ones and stuff, but they're not like comparing them. It's totally different style of machine. It's not the same motor. It's not the same insides. It just looks the same on the outside only. So it's kind of interesting to think about. Um, but yeah, everybody seems to be moving over to these battery packs. They're worth a shot. I don't think they're that expensive to invest into and just to try out. And maybe you like them, and maybe then you don't even have to worry about, like clip cords are always going out. It's like bullshit. There's no foot pedal on these things yet, so that's one thing. Like you just have to have a machine constantly going. But the cords always fucking go out, and those clip cords are always going out, whether it's auxiliary cord or not. Like everything, it always eventually shorts one way or another, and you have to get a new ones for some reason. So I think it's a good idea, and it's only going to get better. But yeah, that's today's segment on geeking out. So yeah, that's basically it for today. So if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, and you want to talk about stuff, I'm also gonna kind of like, last week I pulled a clip off of the podcast and put it onto Instagram, and it got a little bit of attention. So I'm gonna probably keep doing that. Maybe I'll take a couple clips off of this one and put it onto Instagram, and we'll see how that goes. So maybe check that out on IGTV at Ponyboy Tattoos. It'll be on there. You can follow my shop page too at Iron Tiger Tattoos. And then, then you could kind of see, instead of trying to like listen to me tell you stuff on like I do things, you could just see how I do things, and that's a lot easier to follow what I do instead of what I say, I guess, like it's a lot more clearer. One thing I mentioned briefly early on that I wanted to kind of bring up at the end here, I was hoping to get more people into, is doing a 30-day yoga challenge where we do 30 days straight of yoga every day for at least like 15 minutes. And I want to see how much that helps our backs. I know a lot of us are going through pain and stuff, and a lot of that generates from your hips and your legs, surprisingly. So if you're not stretching out at all yet, like I want you to, like hopefully join me on this challenge. I'm gonna do 30 days. I'm gonna tell you how it is every week, if it's benefiting me and how it's benefiting me and what I'm doing. So that'll just be like a short segment. But all right, guys. So hopefully you have a Merry Christmas, and like I said, follow me on Instagram at Ponyboy Tattoos, and check out all the stuff that I'm posting on there, and make sure you comment if I put up a highlight clip like, hey, I love this podcast. Send me a message if you have a question or whatever. One of my segments I want to do is called Q&A, and I would like to get some questions from the listeners so I can end up answering them to you guys. So if you want to do that, then please feel free to do that. And thanks, as always, for listening from wherever you're listening. God bless.